What's an industry plant? You see these two words all the time whenever a new artist seemingly comes up out of nowhere and nobody can understand why they're popular. But most of the time, people be calling rappers industry plants just because they don't like them or they never heard of them before. People have been accusing rappers of being industry plants on forums as far back as 2012. The term was originally used to mean that an artist's rise to fame wasn't exactly natural, and that in comparison to everybody else, they had the upper hand from nepotism or other connections in the industry. Ever since, the term has spread to other genres, and over time, it's kinda lost its original meaning. It's gotten to the point where there are artists who grinded for years to get where they're at now, and you still got dumbasses on Twitter calling them an industry plant. For example, rappers have blown up off of TikTok and become stars in such a short span of time after one of their songs became popular to dance to all of a sudden. So when someone says, "This guy's an industry plant, he blew up out of nowhere," that's not really right though, because the internet has made it a lot easier to get your songs to blow up before getting in contact with a record label. It's not the 90s anymore. The days where your only choice used to be moving to LA and doing shows locally for years to get noticed by someone in the music industry are long gone, and so many rappers have blown up before a label even noticed them. Hell, it's become the norm now for a rapper to blow up on SoundCloud or TikTok off of one song and have labels calling to offer you a record deal. So calling someone an industry plant just cause you're just now hearing of them and you didn't witness their come up in the underground doesn't really make any sense. People have used this reasoning against Tommy Richmond, for example, who took over TikTok and almost went #1 on the Billboard with $1 Million Baby last year. But he peaked at #2 because the song blew up in the middle of the Kendrick and Drake beef, so Not Like Us ended up taking the #1 spot. The fact that Tommy Richmond's breakout song did this well had a lot of people suspicious of him. They called him an industry plant, but really, he had been grinding for years in the LA scene until Brent Faiyaz discovered him and he signed him to his label ISO Supremacy. Tommy started getting more of a buzz after he got featured on Brent's album Larger Than Life. Brent was taking Tommy on tour with him and exposing him to a whole new audience in the process, and Tommy finally got famous after $1 Million Baby went viral on accident. Ian is another rapper who's been called an industry plant for kind of the same reason. He seemingly came out of nowhere with his song Figure It Out, and all of a sudden he was all over the place starting from March 2024. But just like Tommy Richmond, he had been making music for years, dropping on SoundCloud, and was barely getting any attention. But the reason he even blew up was mostly due to his image. The way he presents himself in his Trillers that blew up on Instagram was on purpose, and he was taught this by Kevin Got Swag, who has connections in the underground scene and was responsible for helping him get around Baby Santana and Young Fazo. Ian got his big break in the underground scene when a snippet of his song Figure It Out went viral and got over 1.5 million views. After this happened, there was a whole bidding war over Ian as the labels wanted a piece of his clout. He decided to sign with Columbia, and that's when they helped craft his white privilege image. His image has brought along a lot of controversy as Ian is seen as a mockery of what hip-hop really stands for. A lot of people had a problem with him doing the whole "I'm a white guy who raps" gimmick, including the whole suburban white kid image while he raps about gangsta shit. He's got the stereotypical clothes, family dinners, and embraces the whole stereotypical white kid image. And this is a big reason why Ian basically speed ran the underground over a matter of months. And at this point, he's not even underground anymore. A lot of people have criticized him for how his career was really carried by his image and marketing, with his musical style being considered a copy of Gucci Mane and Future styles. Now, yeah, he was famous because of his marketing strategy instead of his talent, but he's not exactly an industry plant. He had a song blow up on Instagram and the labels noticed him, so he got a contract and got bigger. Don't get me wrong, I get why people hate Ian. It's just he's not an industry plant. This actually shows how over time people have just started to throw around the words industry plant when they don't like an artist. Like I said, it's kind of lost its meaning. Even though it's a very normal thing in the music industry, you got artists being called industry plants when they blew up from a song, got signed, and pushed out by the label. Because apparently no one knows what industry plant means anymore. Doechii is another example of someone who's been called an industry plant, but she's actually been around way longer than you think. How she first went went viral was when a song of hers blew up way back in 2021. It didn't exactly turn her into a household name back then, but it did get her noticed by record labels. And she signed with Capitol Records and TDE in a joint record deal. From this point, she started getting way more work in the industry under the same label that got Kendrick Lamar famous. She managed to get on the XXL freshman class of 2022, and a year later, her song What It Is went viral on TikTok. I'm surprised how people are only just figuring out about her now. I remember hearing that song all over TikTok back then. In 2024, her career went to new heights when multiple songs like Denial is a River, Nissan Ultima, and a song with Tyler, the Creator, off his album Chromacopia all went crazy. Her album Alligator Bites Never Heal made her the third woman ever to win a Grammy for Best Rap Album, and she was receiving cosigns from people such as Lauryn Hill. This was all the perfect storm for a very successful career, and you might be confused as to how people even thought she was an industry plant. But the industry plant allegations in this case only came up after her remix of the song Somebody That I Used to Know called Anxiety that she recorded way back in 2019 before she even got famous somehow blew up. She released the song not that long after it went viral, and it was being played all over the place, but with how much it was being played, a lot of people were starting to get tired of the song. This is just another case of a song being overplayed, and when this happens, public opinion about a song can completely do a 180, and this is exactly what happened. Basically, a whole hate bandwagon started up after people got tired of this song. From this point, it went from just people not liking the song to just hating on her. This is when she got the industry plant label put on her, but considering how she got popular the normal way by getting signed after her song blew up on TikTok, she's only being called that because of the hate bandwagon. Again, this proves how people just call artists they don't like industry plants, when they don't even know what that actually means. What all these artists have in common is that they were all on their grind and got noticed by a label after they worked so hard. They got signed, got more famous, and they only had the industry plant label on them because people were just finding out about them. Other artists like Ian Dior and Forbats have been called industry plants, but all that happened was that they got recognized by some A&R or manager, and they wiped their digital footprint clean and took their career to the next level. This is actually way more common than you think. It is very normal for someone to get discovered by someone in the industry and their career takes off from there. I literally just described what happened to Ian earlier, but the difference is his digital footprint is still there. What is an example of an industry plant is someone like CJ. Remember that song Whoopty that blew up back in 2020? The rapper who made that song, known as CJ, got his big break in the music industry when he showed a song he made to his uncle James, who was formerly Diddy's manager. From there, he agreed to come out of retirement and use his connections he had in the industry from years ago to help make his nephew famous. CJ's uncle played a big role in his rise to fame, as Whoopty got the number 10 on the Billboard, went 2 times platinum, and he got co-signs from other rappers such as French Montana and Busta Rhymes. Obviously, he got all these connections through his uncle, and he was pulling all the strings behind the scenes for his nephew. He had so much control over his career to the point where he was telling him when to shut up in interviews.
Oh, yeah. Somebody said, shh. Yeah, Oh, we ain't supposed to be talking about that? You got to have 2 different album deals?
Jumex is another example of a real industry plant. He blew up in 2019 off his first single ever called Trapped, accompanied by a professionally filmed music video directed by Taco from Odd Future. It's basically just him doing a shitty XXXTentacion impression for 3 minutes, and he blew up for just being a clone. He was also already signed before the song came out, which brought along industry plant allegations. This time, it actually made sense, considering how he was being propped up by this indie label owned by Tyler, the Creator's former manager, and he was going on a whole press run. Jumex was definitely planted by Corton Records to cash in on emo rap back when it was still popular, and his career only amounted to 2 hit songs and a reputation as a clown. Key Nola is another good example of an industry plant. He blew up in March and was going around with this whole I sound like Juice WRLD gimmick. He was signed to an indie label called Eurovision. The label also works with New World Distribution, owned by William Hoops, who has connections to big rappers like 21 Savage. He actually signed to the label just 3 days before his song Party Girl blew up. Key Nola is definitely just another clone rapper being taken advantage advantage of for some quick cash. I mean, the label he signed to only has 100 followers on Instagram, so they gotta be a really desperate label to sign a Juice WRLD clone. I know they're milking his ass dry. So my point is, while industry plans do exist, just because you don't like a rapper and you don't know where they came from, that doesn't automatically mean they're a plant.